In this video, I will present to you my Timber Pack Modx for churches. This pack works for all the Modx line, the Modx version 1, the Modx Plus, and also the Montage line. So, let's go! Hello my friends and welcome to the Worship Piano channel. My name is André Sorio. If you are not subscribed to our channel, I invite you to subscribe because here you will find everything about piano and keyboard for everyone who plays at the church or wants to play. I also invite you to check out my course, Worship Piano, a 100% Christian, 100% online piano and keyboard course for those of you that want to play at the church with excellence to the Lord. The link is in the description. Before I show you all the timbres and how I programmed them, I'm going to explain shortly what is this pack and who is it made for. So first, who is this timber pack made for? This pack is made for musicians, keyboardists that have the Modx or plans on buying it, Modx or Montage. Those who play at the church and don't yet have a lot of knowledge on how to program and the settings of the keyboard. So, this is for you who has the keyboard or wants to buy it so that you can install the pack and get the best of what your keyboard has to offer to you. And evidently, with time, you will learn how to adjust settings, program it yourself, and make your own sounds. But for starters, this will save you some time and let you enjoy everything your keyboard has to offer now. Saying that it is not worth for you to invest in such an intricate and complete quality keyboard with lots of resources just to use the standard settings. Evidently, you will not be able to enjoy everything it has to offer. So, here I programmed it, used all my experience to make these timbres and set up this keyboard in a way that I would use it to play at the church. And it is here, ready and set, because I know it will be of much use for the musicians that play at the church, independently from the style. And what is contained inside this pack? If you download the Timber Pack Modx for churches, you will have access to 12 timbres, or alternatively, 12 performances, which I will explain a bit later how it works. But basically, these are 12 timbres that I prepared for you very carefully, making the best of what the instrument has to offer. The majority of these timbres have additional resources, just like I showed at the start of the video. In addition to the sound of the piano, I also added the pads, a layer of strings, and a layer of bells. So, in the most part, these timbres come with additional resources for the keyboard. It is important to note that this pack does not include any samples, seeing that I didn't add any external sounds to it. It is evident that the Modx does indeed has the option for sampling or alternatively downloading samples, but in this pack I didn't include any, because in my opinion the keyboard already offers everything that I and most musicians need. Obviously, you can download any timbres later on if you want to, but I believe that what we have here is already enough. Some people just cannot get a single keyboard without wanting to install timbres from Nord. I'm gonna use timbres from Nord, as if Nord was the only brand that had good timbres. This is a mistake. Nord timbres sound good because they have good samplers. Besides that, their instruments are just, well, very well made, with great keys, great structure, so all these factors justify why do these timbres from Nord sound, well, so good. But it is important to say that, because often people use these sounds in less ideal keyboards, like an XPX10 for example. This is false advertising. Timbres from Nord sound the way they do because of the instrument. So, The Modx timbers are indeed excellent timbers because they were made for the Modx, for these keys right here, this setup. And I am using the timbers that are already here. But be free to download any other sounds or timbers, piano sounds, or any one for that matter, and install it on the keyboard. This doesn't change anything, I'm only making it clear that the sounds we set up were made only using the timbers from the keyboard itself. There are already a lot. So you'll have access to 12 timbers or 12 performances. Besides that, you'll have access to 12 continuous pads, like this one for example. See, it is a background sound for you to use as a bass. This one right here is in C major, and you can play over it. Cool? So, 12 continuous pads, each one in a different key. You also have access to 4 musical backgrounds for you to use at the church, like this one for example. You'll let it play along with someone's speech or during a collective prayer if you don't want or aren't able to play at the moment. Just let it play and it'll go for as much as you want. You will also get with this pack 6 loops worship. But what are they? They are beats, drum loops, cajon loops that I added so you can use at the start of a song, introduction, or if you're playing alone. For example, you can let it play and play along with it. Cool? So I added 6 loops like this one right here, and I'm going to explain them in detail later on. And beside all that, you will have my exclusive support. I will be at your service to help you in any difficulty you might have in the installation process or utilization of this pack. After you make the purchase, I will send you the pack, along with the tutorial video explaining detail, step by step, on how to install it. It is very simple to do it, only takes about 10 minutes, and if you have any problem, I'm available to help you in the installation process. But you can be rest assured that the process is very simple and very easy. An important detail, and the only prerequisite you need to make the purchase of this pack, is that you need a desktop computer or alternatively a notebook. And that's because I will send you the file and you'll need to pass it on to a flash drive or USB drive. And then from it, you will install it on your keyboard. So, you need a PC or a notebook to do it. If you don't have any of them, you can ask someone who has to upload it onto a USB drive for you. After that, it is very simple. Just take the file from the USB drive onto your keyboard. But remember, it is very important to own a PC or a notebook, or else have someone willing to do this upload for you. Well, my friends, here I'm going to present to you my timbers, my continuous patches, my loops, and all the program that I made for the Modx. First, and after you finish the installation, very quick, very easy. After you finish it, when you turn on your keyboard, this is what it is going to look like. This is a screen that you're going to see when you turn it on. Here in the screen, as you can see right ahead, we have the 12 timbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, these are the 12 timbers I programmed for you. Okay? And I'm going to show them to you right now. I put in here 3 acoustic piano timbers that I'm going to show you in a bit. I put one electric piano timber that is named e piano Andres, one Rhodes timbre, Rhodes Andres, also one strings timbre, one organ timbre, also two lead timbres. This is the first one and this is the second one. They are slightly different. One accordion timbre, one bell timbre, and one horn section timbre. 12 timbres that I made. The first timbre here is the piano. The Modx piano timbre is absolutely beautiful. I love it. As you all know, it's the CFX timbre, based on the Yamaha Grand Piano CFX, that costs around $200,000. A absolutely fantastic timbre. I only made some small alterations to get this sound. I'm gonna show you how I made this programming, and you have two different ways to change the variables on the sound. You can alter through these faders or through these buttons. I'm gonna explain the two ways. So when you turn on the keyboard, it's going to be like this. If I raise this first fader right here, it's going to raise the sound of the piano, like this. Here on the second fader is a pad. In the third fader, we have strings. And in the fourth one, we have the bells. Okay, there are two ways to change the timbre. You can either adjust through the faders, or you can press the buttons. Let's see how it works. I'm gonna alter the sound through these faders. You do this by basically playing along, normally, and altering the sound while you play. Let me demonstrate. So, this is how you use the faders. The second way is to select the scenes through these buttons. For example, if I press the first button, only the piano sound is selected. If I press the second one, we add in the pad. If I press the third one, we get the piano, the pad, and the strings. If I press number 4, the piano, the pad, the strings, and the bells are on. I already regulated the volume at a decent level, so everything projects clearly when you're playing. So, this is a faster way for you to control the tone. Let's suppose you're playing the verse with the piano and the pad, and then comes the chorus, and there we go. I left low the volume of the strings, but you can adjust it to your preferences. All the piano timbres, the acoustic piano ones, the electric, the Rhodes, you can alter the sound these two ways, either by using the faders or alternating with the scenes. I left 4 scenes for each piano sound. One important thing to notice here is that in all piano timbres I left the pad volume at 2. Here, just the pad. Every piano sound has the pad in the volume 2. You can alter the cutoff of the pad here in the modulation. It'll be completely turned down so it has a more close tone. Now, if I keep raising it, I can open the sound of this pad. So all the piano timbres have the pad at volume 2, and you can change the cutoff here. Let me demonstrate. So, all the timbres have this option. Going to timbre number 2, from now on I won't be going into detail about this section. All the piano timbres have the same functionality. Timbre number 2 is a normal piano sound, but it has a layer of FM on it. What a beautiful timbre! Notice the difference between this timbre and the first one. First one, only piano, now the second. Cool? So, this here is the same concept. I added the pad, the strings, and the bell. I'll play a little bit here to show it to you. Cool? This one is the same exact thing. You can alter the sound through these faders and also the buttons. Timbre number 3 is the piano worship. This timbre already starts at the second button. It already has a pad. What a beautiful thing. This timbre right here is the piano and pad one, but I put a layer to give it some weight, for when you're playing specific passages that you want to give emphasis on. Hear it. So, this was the worship piano. It already starts in the second scene, but you can play with just the first sound. Scene number 2, number 3, strings, number 4, bells, and the same thing. You can alter it by lowering or raising the layers through these faders. Timbre number 4, it is an electric piano. Cool, an electric piano. The same thing with a pad, strings, bell, and you can also alternate between the scenes with just a press of one of these buttons. Next timbre is a Rhodes. Cool, so this is a Rhodes. This setup is a little bit different. So we have the Rhodes here. Obviously, the Modx has a lot of different kinds of Rhodes, going from the more traditional ones, the drier ones, but from my point of view, this kind of Rhodes is more appropriated for churches, seeing that it's a little bit fuller, which is generally better for the kinds of music played at the church. And you can also play groove rhythms with it. I also added a pad, strings, and in the number 4 I placed a horn section. For when you need an attack, a sharp sound. In these situations, the buttons are more practical because you can alternate between different sounds very fast. So, you can use the fades or the buttons. And these are all the piano timbres. Note that all of them have variations on the faders, variations on the scenes, and you can also alter the cutoff and the modulation. The next timbre right here is the strings, and the string sound on the Modx is the most beautiful thing in the world. Here is one out. Here in this violin setup, this beautiful violin setup of the Modx, you won't change it through the faders, okay? Hear me out, you're not gonna change through them. In this programming that I made, you will only change it through these buttons, okay? The scenes. When you use the strings timbre, it is going to be here in the number 3, which is the timbre that I selected. These strings have a layered violin, which is a little bit higher. That makes this timbre fantastic. beautiful stuff. Sounds very realistic, but besides scene number 3, here in scene number 1 we have only the strings. A more traditional sound. In scene number 2, we have only the violin. Beautiful violin timbre. So in scene number 2, only the violin. And in scene number 3, we have the fusion between the strings, like an orchestra, and the violin, like a solo violin. And in number 4, we have an staccato sound. So, an extremely beautiful string sound from the Modx, and you have here these 4 variations. The next timbre is the organ. This organ timbre, when you turn it on, sounds like this. You have here, in the modulation, the activation of the rotor of the Leslie box. You can leave it turned down completely and gradually raise it. The sound of the organ in the Modx is absolutely fantastic. Here in the organ, I didn't make any variations here in the scenes, okay? You can see here that they are turned completely off. Now, what did I change then? You'll all notice right here in this button, which is marked 1-4, there is a green light turned on. In this setup right here, the faders are going to alternate the organ timbre, as if it were a drawbar, for example, the Nord, that has the organ drawbars. Here, it has the same function. The point is that here we only have 4 faders, and the organ needs at least about 8, so you can really control all the variations it has. So for example, if I raise all of them right here, and then turn them down, it already changes the sound. And then you can also press this button, and now, instead of controlling these 4 drawbars, the low ones, we will now control the second set of drawbars, the high ones, that I, personally, find more interesting. So for example, you can press here and it will show 5-8, which I think is better to control. If I turn them all off, it gives me a nice timbre. Very cool sound, and you can keep raising it. If I turn it down, turn down, turn up, so this is just a tip about the organ. When you're playing it, you can press here to control the drawbars between high and low. You can change here to the 5-8 while you're playing to control the high drawbars as you're playing.
Mas é
I
óbvio que esse
included a
som que eu
sound
deixei aqui
here
é para quando
for
você
when
estiver
you're
tocando uma
playing
música
and you
e
want to
quiser
do a
fazer um
little
preenchimento no
filling
refrão,
in the
ele já tá
chorus like
fácil aqui,
this.
tá? Um
Very
timbraço.
cool timbre.
Muito bem. O
The
próximo
next
timbre
timbre
nosso aqui
is
é um
the
timbre de
lead.
LED, tá? Timbraço de
Very
LED
cool
também.
sound.
Que
It
você
doesn't
pode,
have any
ele não tem nenhuma
scenes or
variação aqui
alterations in the
nos
faders,
faders,
just a
nem,
pure
nas
timbre
câmeras. É
that
um
I
timbre
programmed with
puro
some
mesmo. Eu fiz algumas
variations and
variações
already
e
works
já atende
perfectly.
perfeitamente, tá?
This
Esse
timbre
timbre
also
também você
can
pode alternar o
alternate
modulation
with the
ou
modulation or the pitch bend,
blend aqui, tá?
alright?
Esse é o primeiro timbre de
This is
LED.
the first lead
Mais
sound,
abaixo dele eu
but
coloquei um
right
outro
below
timbre de
it
LED
I
aqui
put
também,
another one,
tá?
the
Que é
lead
o
number
LED número
2.
2, que é esse daqui, ó. Ó,
Here is a quick
para vocês
comparison
perceberem a
between these
diferença entre
two.
um e outro.
Number 1,
Número
number 2.
2. Então, um é
So,
diferente
two
do outro,
different
cada
leads
um
for you
serve
to
para
pick and
uma
choose.
situação, tá?
The
Próximo
next
timbre
timbre
aqui é o
is
timbre
the
de sanfona.
accordion. Another
Muito
very
legal
nice
também.
timbre.
Próximo
The
timbre aqui é o de
next is the
bell.
bell.
Este
This
timbre também
timbre also
não tem
doesn't have
variação,
any
ele já está
variations.
pronto
It
e
is
é
ready
essa
to go in
configuração
this
que
exact
você vai tocar
setup.
com ele, tá? É
Just
só
turn it
colocar
on
e
and
tocar.
play.
E o
And
próximo
the
timbre
next one
são
here
aqui os
is the
timbres
horn
vocais.
session.
Então,
So,
esses são
these
os
are the
timbres que eu
12 timbres I made.
mostrei
I
aqui
showed them here
com
from 1 to
a Audio
12. The lead one I
LED
showed
mostrado
earlier.
anteriormente. Então,
12
12
sounds
timbres
for
aí
you
para
to
você
play.
tocar. Muito bem,
Very
pessoal.
well.
Agora eu vou
Now I'm
ensinar
going to
vocês
teach you
como
how to
utilizar
use my
os
continuous
pads
pads and
contínuos
musical
e fundos
backgrounds.
musicais. Aqui
Here,
já
you
estarão
already see all the
todos os
files,
arquivos
the
dos
continuous
pads
pads and the
contínuos e os
musical
fundos
backgrounds
musicais
that are
que
going
vai no
in the
pacote
pack
para
to you.
vocês. Então, por exemplo, eu
So,
vou
for
colocar aqui o
example,
Dó
I'm
maior.
going to play here the one in C major.
E
And
aqui
it
é
is
muito
very
simples, é só
simple.
vocês apertarem
Just
no
press
play.
play,
Só que antes de
but before
apertar
you
o
do
play,
it, you
você tem
must
que
pay
prestar atenção
attention to
num
something
detalhe muito
very
importante,
important.
que é aqui em
Here,
áudio
the
volume.
audio volume.
Eu vou
I'm going to
colocar
click
aqui em
here
cima.
and you
Você
will
perceba
see
que vai
that
estar
it
no
is 255,
255,
the
que
maximum
é o
volume.
volume máximo. Se você colocar
If
nesse
you
volume,
play
vai
at
ficar
this
alto.
volume, it's going to
Então, eu
be
recomendo que
loud.
você use
So I
em
recommend you to turn it
240,
down to 240,
tá?
okay?
Então, eu clico aqui em
So
cima,
you
vem
click
aqui
here in the audio
no
volume
cursor
and then
e
turn it
viro para
down
frente
through
ou para
this knob.
trás. No caso aqui, eu vou girar para trás até chegar em 240, que é um
This
volume
is
que
the
eu acho
volume that
legal.
I find
Mas aí é
much more
você que vai decidir o
appropriated,
volume.
but you can
Então, uma vez
choose
que você
based on your
selecionou o volume, é
preferences.
só você apertar o play.
So once you choose your volume, just press
O
play.
LED entra de forma bem suave.
Then you can play
E aí é
along
só
with
você tocar
it.
em cima.
I'm
Vou
gonna
colocar
use
aqui
here
aquele
the
piano
piano
worship,
worship sound.
legal? E aí para parar é só
And
apertar
then
aqui
you can pause it
pause.
through this button
Clica
right
no
here.
pause
It is going to
e vai
stop the
parar o som.
sound.
E aqui
Here
estão
we have
todos
all
os
the
pads
continuous
contínuos. Aí você
pads,
pode
and you can
selecionar
choose anyone you
algum pad
want.
contínuo. Tá aqui na
Here
primeira
we are
página.
just on the
Se você
first
quiser algum
page,
outro que
but
não
if you
está
want
aqui,
any
eu
other
clico
one that
embaixo,
isn't
ó,
here,
page,
you can click here in
giro o
page
cursor para
and
frente,
scroll with the
vou
knob
para a segunda
so you can
página e
access
volto
the
para a
second
primeira.
page.
Girei para a segunda
And here you can pick and choose any one you want. Let's select this musical background right here and hear what it sounds like. And to stop it, same thing. Use the pause button. Now, if you want to find a worship loop, same thing. Click here in audio name, load, and here you can choose. Let's play the loop 18. This one here is in 58 BPM. All of them are organized by speed. As you can see here, loop 58 BPM, loop 63 BPM, loop 66 BPM, and then you have the cajon in 70 BPM, 75 BPM, and then another loop in 6/8 signature time. So, for example, I play this loop.
Já selecionei, agora é só apertar o play.
Let me choose a timbre and play along.
Agora.
Same thing, if you want to stop, just press pause. To return to the other loops, I press play again. Audio name again, load, and here we have all the other ones. I'm gonna play a cajon loop for you to hear at 70 BPM. This sort of timbre is also very useful to play a lot of different musical styles, so you'll have access to 12 continuous pads, 4 musical backgrounds, and 6 worship loops that you yourself can check out. Well, my friends, that's it. This is the Modx Pack, this machine, this fantastic keyboard. And with this pack, it is even better, because it is all set for you to play at the church and get the best of what the instrument has to offer. If you are interested in purchasing this pack, the link is in the description. Just click it and it will take you to the website. There, you will find the details, the price, and after you finish the payment, the pack is sent to you immediately. And if you want to be my student too, or find any other of my timbre packs, the links are also in the description. A tight hug, God bless, and see you later.